actually did. It looks like it's sun in this world.
Sun. Okay, that's good.
Like so gentle.
Shall I make a little test recording?
Yeah,
just so we can hear?
Hi, Ernie. You can be in the podcast though.
Oh, he won't.
I have no choice.
Shall I hit record?
It's already recording.
Oh.
Hit record.
Okay. Oh, that's...
Hit that button up. Dear ones, welcome to this first episode of this little adventure of mine. I'm not sure what to call it yet, but I think it will appear naturally. So, what is this? Well, growing up and trying to learn how to be an artist, how to be a creative person, how to chase your dreams and design a life you're proud of, it's hard. It's confusing and there is no instruction book you can read to puzzle all the pieces together. It's something you throw yourself into and kind of learn along the way by making mistakes and hopefully correcting them. Luckily, I've been fortunate enough to meet some wonderful people along the way on my journey, on this crazy adventure of trying to build a life around my music and writing. People who are fighting the same fights. People who have designed their own paths, their own ways to do what they want to do. Watching my friends' hard work and hustle inspire me more than anything else. I learn from them, and they have become like family to me. I love nothing more than having a real, intense, inspiring conversation with someone about things that matter to us. So I simply wanted to sit down with my creative friends to discuss things that I think all of us deal with. But I also wanted to show you guys a little glimpse of all the different ways you can work within music. I'm planning to have these discussions with a lot of different creative people. I hope it can inspire you. That's what it's all about. So, let's just say these are small, intimate conversations with people that inspire me, that I learned from and that I value more than anything else. In this first episode, I'm chatting to my friend NIELS. He has been playing guitar with me all the way from the start, before I even had any idea what I was doing or who I was. He's an amazing guitar player, but I would also say that he's a philosopher, he's a writer, he's a producer. But maybe most of all, he's just one of my favorite people in the whole wide world. He let me crash on his couch back when I was living like a gypsy on the road, just trying to play music. He's played and recorded for me for many, many years, and he's kind of really one of the reasons to why I've made the music I've made in my life. Having a conversation with NIELS is like opening the door to an endless universe. We find ourselves discussing things like how to stay motivated, how to not give up, what it's like living in London, going to music uni, and a lot more. I truly hope you enjoy this conversation as much as we enjoyed having it. I would love it if you left your comments below this video if something that we talk about hit a chord with you. Have you been struggling with any of these things? And how did you deal with it? Do you have any own thoughts on the things we talk about? This conversation is just the start, and I want to continue it with you guys. Okay, I think I'm ready. Let's go.
Glad we have a metronome.
Are you ready?
Yeah, that's fine now.
So this is my dear friend NIELS, and we are sitting in his apartment. I was going to say, is it?
My apartment, my humble abode.
Crib
This is what I
in
like
London,
to call it.
And it is April right now. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling very good.
Are you very nervous about this being featured on the Glass Child podcast?
It's a new thing, you know. It's a new experience that I have.
Is it your first podcast?
As far as I know, yeah.
So I have already introduced you to the listeners a little bit, but if you want to introduce yourself, if you met someone who didn't know who you were, how would you say, who are you and what do you do?
Who am I? Very good song, by the way.
Let's do as many The Glass Child references as possible.
I'm gonna slip in as many puns as humanly possible.
Yes, please.
I would describe myself as a well, I need to think about this.
So I think that maybe a small percentage of you listeners have seen NIELS with dreads.
Yeah.
This is the first time you are featured in a picture of mine.
Without
the
dreadlocks.
dreads. Okay, great. Let's go back to my question.
Okay. Your question.
Yeah. Who are you and what do you do?
I would describe myself as a artist first and a working musician second. That's how I would describe myself. A freelancer, and I just try to live life as it comes, kind of thing.
The last thing symbolizes you a lot, I think.
The last thing, what?
That you take life as it comes.
I think it's important, especially if you work freelance or as an artist, and both especially. It's kind of you can't really expect to see into the future.
So it's already quite interesting that you haven't once mentioned that you're a guitar player. Because that's actually what you kind of are for me, though.
I think when we first met, and if you would have asked me that question then, I would have probably said I am a guitar player. That would have been my main answer. I think. And I think that's changed a little bit since studying and since kind of living the grown-up life, whatever that means, or the post-college life.
I think that's a common thing around all kind of creative people, that you think that I'm just gonna do this, but then you realize, oh shit, I need to do like 15 different things to make that thing actually happen. Like I thought that I would just write songs, and I write songs once a month if I'm lucky.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. Like when you're young, it's very easy to see it kind of with the, how do you say that? With the rose-colored glasses.
Oh, that's a very nice line.
That's good, isn't it?
I'm gonna yoga my position now.
Yeah, I know when I was younger, I didn't really have such a clear image. In my mind, I was gonna go study music and I was gonna play guitar a lot, and then I would figure out the rest while I was there, kind of thing.
So let's go there from the beginning. Like before you studied music here in London, but before then, did you always know that you wanted to be a guitar player? Like, was that a thing that you knew you could actually do for a living, kind of?
I never really. I mean, it's a long time ago now. And
you're not that old.
Yeah, but there's been a few parties in the meantime, and a few brain cells have died. So it's hard to say exactly, but I don't think I really thought of it necessarily as I want to make a living out of this. I just wanted to do it as much as I possibly could. And that in a way that kind of meant that I kind of naturally ended up saying, okay, I'm gonna make this my living, or I'm gonna try to do that anyway with it,
So then you ended up studying a bachelor degree in London. What made you want to get a degree in guitar? Was that always like a was it because you wanted to have a degree, like you wanted to study, or because I want to be a guitar player, so I'm gonna study it? Or like, what came first?
I think it was a mixture of things, because there's on one side you have the kind of traditional kind of approach of like you need some kind of degree
education
for your life to work, which obviously as time went on I kind of realized that wasn't quite exactly how it always worked. I basically first I wanted to move to LA and go to the Guitar Institute.
Everyone did that, I think. I wanted to do that too first.
And then when I realized, I think this was the first time in my life where I really realized the cost of things. When my parents came and they said, okay, that's nice, but it's like $20,000 a year or something.
So
At which point I thought, maybe I should look a bit closer to home. And then, like, staying in Europe, I think London was kind of a natural choice. It's, even now, I'd say it's still the musical kind of capital of London.
It was exactly the same for me. I wanted to go to LA, and then I realized that's not gonna happen. And then London was just obvious.
LA will come one day,
I'm not sure.
Who knows? We'll see. We'll go with the flow. Take it as it comes.
Yeah. So, what did you think of your uni studies then? Did you enjoy it, and was it worth it? And did you feel like you got everything out of it as a guitar player. And do you have like any advice for maybe younger guitar players who are thinking about doing a guitar degree? Would you recommend it for people?
I think it's very dependent on the person. I found, because I started with doing a 1-year course first, so I did a higher diploma.
Yeah, right. Uh-huh.
And I felt that was a really good way to kind of test the waters, you know. And then after that year, I quite quickly knew that I wanted to keep going.
Okay.
But I think I saw a lot of people who went straight into the degree.
Yeah.
Kind of thinking like, oh, I like playing music and yeah, of course I want to play it all the time. They kind of came out of it at the end kind of with their passion a little bit spoiled in a sense.
Oh, really?
And which interestingly was something that I was warned for or warned against by my old high school teacher who, when I said to him I want to go to London and study music, he I wouldn't say he laughed at me, but he kind of smiled and said, okay, just be careful.
Yeah.
Because making your hobby or your passion your work or your study is something that could potentially kind of ruin it.
Yeah, because
you know?
I think it's a risk like with all kinds of art, like music or art, like fine arts or whatever, because it's art, so it's creativity, and to turn something creative into academics, you know, like turning it into such a structured thing,
you kind of are forced to compromise. I think that's something that you have to kind of realize. If you want to apply to a music school like this, you kind of have to realize that a school, especially in the case of a bachelor degree or like internationally recognized certification, that a school like that will have to fit into certain rules to be able to give you that piece of paper at the end. And that means that certain things that a school has to do, like marking and giving feedback, it means that the teachers will often be put in a place where they know that music is a much more kind of organic thing, where you can't just say that's right and that's wrong and this is good and that's bad. But they kind of have to force themselves into that, and that, I think that makes for occasionally people kind of being upset about that, you know, coming out of a class and saying, I don't understand, I practiced and I thought it went really well and the feedback didn't make sense. And I think for me it was always more about the people there, first of all, both the teachers and the students around me, just building up a network and being surrounded by people who are better than you know, at the instrument.
Yeah.
That's, to me, that was the most valuable thing. And then because I'm quite a geek at heart, which is, you know, you can see it now with the glasses and the hair.
I should have had my glasses on too there.
Like for me, the studying was awesome. Like I loved learning new scales and learning songs and being exposed to new stuff. But then at the same time, I know from looking at some of the songwriters, for instance, there it was really obvious a lot of times that a lot of the songwriters were more artistically inclined rather than being a skilled instrumentalist. So they had more of a view of a piece of art or a piece of music that they wanted to create, and then all of a sudden there was this teacher going, okay, so today you need to analyze Bob Dylan.
So strange.
And that's kind of makes a clash, you know, but I think you can't really get around that.
So if there's a kid who is like where you were, shit, how long was that ago? 5 years ago you were
when I started?
Yeah, when did you finish? Yeah.
Yeah. Ching pong.
That was Swedish though, it was not Chinese. If there's a kid who is in his second year of a guitar degree and he wants to eventually, or she, be a full-time guitar player in any way, do you have any advice for them when it comes to the studying, like the academic part, like how they can get the most out of their uni experience, kind of?
I would say just do as much as you possibly can. Both, like, whether that is learning the stuff they give you in college, or finding yourself things online to add to that. And go to every jam night, go to open mic nights, mix with the musicians, and sit. Like, to me, one of the most valuable things was just having the lunch breaks. We had like a little group of a few friends, and we would just sit together in our lunch breaks, and one of us would go like, oh, have you check out this thing, I learned it yesterday, and then everyone else would be like, oh, show me. That's what it is, and we would kind of exchange ideas and stuff, and it means you kind of get to pull yourself up to the level of people who maybe have been playing much longer already.
You want the water?
Is it water now or tea?
Vodka.
Strong vodka.
So it was during your studies there that you and I started playing.
Yeah.
Because I put up flyers on the wall saying Swedish songwriter looking for a band.
If that's not a recipe for success, I don't know what is.
Yeah, that was the key to everything. It seemed to me when you were at uni, you always tried to play with as many bands as you could, kind of outside of uni.
Yeah.
Is that something you would recommend people to like join bands, or would you recommend them to like just do your studies, or did you find that it was important to like actually get out and play too?
Yeah. I mean, in the first year when I was studying, I didn't play with other people so much. I went to some jam nights and stuff, but I mainly focused just on kind of practicing, and especially when I knew, okay, I want to keep doing this, so I have to be at a good standard so I can get into the degree course. Yeah, I think it depends what you want to do as well, Like, for me personally, I've kind of found a balance between practicing a lot, exploring my own kind of interests, and playing with other people. So I kind of try to balance that.
Because that's also one thing that I kind of want these little interviews to be about. Like, I think a lot of people, or at least both people who are not actually musicians, but also younger people who just want to play music, they think that, okay, so you're a guitar player, that's it.
Yeah.
But you don't realize that guitar player is just like saying animal. But then, like, you have to decide what you want to be as a guitar player, because you could be just a touring live guitar player or a studio player in like one studio, or you could be a teacher, or like there are so many different ways you can still be a guitar player, but you can find your kind of niche, what you love doing, or a guitar tech, or like there are endless of.
There's so many options in a sense, and I guess in that sense that's kind of what we said before. Like, when I came to London, I just knew I want to play guitar.
Yeah,
I like playing guitar.
Because did you know more than that like, did you have an understanding of how many different ways you can be a guitar player, or did you just because
no,
I didn't. Like,
no.
when I moved here, I wanted to write songs. That was all I knew. And then you realize, okay, but do you want to do this or this or this,
And then even if you manage to pick one of them, you'll realize that to do that one thing, you can't just do that one thing, and it's an adventure.
So, after you graduated uni, did you have a plan of what you wanted to do, or was it scary, or did you feel like, I got this?
I had no plan. It's very unlike me. I like planning things, but then I just don't. I don't know. I like organizing things.
Yeah.
I've gotten much better with the planning. I think, like, for me, when I finished, it was almost like it kind of very naturally just moved on somehow. Like, I know some people had a very clear image of, okay, I want to finish college, and then I'm gonna do this, and I want to reach this goal, and I want to work for these people, and I want to play these kind of gigs. And for me, I mean, I was playing with Lost in the Deadlines,
which is his band, we should say.
It is my band.
Preface.
Our band. It's a shared thing, It's collective. And there was a few other bands I was playing with as well. And I was just kind of enjoying that. I felt like I was in a kind of a transitional phase because when I started college, I had this thing in my head where I wanted to be like a session guy, and I wanted to be able to play all different kinds of styles, and I wanted to be able to be very adaptable. Because I have a very broad interest, not just musically, but also just in life.
Yeah.
You know? And I kind of felt like being a session guy would allow me to do all of that together.
Mm-hmm.
And then as I started playing my own music more and writing my own music, especially with the bands and also on my own, I started noticing slowly that kind of becoming a jack of all trades guitarist wasn't that much of an interest to me anymore.
And I don't think that's a good way to go either. Like, I mean, it's the same with everything you're doing. You can't be good at everything. You have to choose something and then be the expert at it.
Yeah.
You know, or like be the one to go for like this kind of thing.
Yeah. And I think, I kind of noticed, like, it had a bit of a clash, like, psychologically in a sense, because
that explains a lot about you.
Exactly, yeah, I know.
That's when it all changed.
That's when it all happened. Because it kind of, you know, if you have this thing in your head where you're like, I want to reach this, or this is what I'm going to be doing, and then all of a sudden your kind of subconscious knows that something else is more interesting to you. It's very hard sometimes to kind of admit that to yourself, you know, especially if you spend 4 years kind of studying to do a certain thing. And I noticed as soon as I started kind of realizing that I had actually developed a much bigger interest in I guess being more of an artist than a musical...
a creative type,
I
would say. But I think that that's something I have also learned a lot doing this. Like the plan and vision I had for myself or for the Glass Child when I, like, I don't know, moved here when I was 18. For so many years, that kind of held me back because I kept thinking, no, I have to do this kind of music and be this kind of artist in this kind of scene. And naturally, because you grow and you learn things and you move and you meet new people, my both musical kind of influences changed, and what I wanted to be as an artist and as a person and stuff changed. And for so many years, I kind of tried to ignore that because I had just decided this is what I'm gonna do and nothing is gonna keep me from it.
Just kinda
But it actually is when you kind of let yourself do what you are supposed to do now that things start to flow better. You know, like I had such a hard time getting music out or writing music because I tried to write this certain kind of music that I had decided I was supposed to do.
As if you were 18.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it was when I thought, you know, just write whatever comes out, and that's when it starts to move freely. And
I think in that sense, you know, that's one of the biggest skills that you can teach yourself. And I don't think anyone can really teach you to do this, but to be able to kind of step out of your life and what you're doing and kind of honestly say, okay, is this still what I want to do?
Is this still what I am? And is this still what I'm supposed to be doing?
And like being flexible with that, I think it's a very, very good skill to have.
And also, I think it's super important to learn that it doesn't mean that you are failing or that you're quitting because you're changing path. It just means that you have outgrown that path. Because I felt that for a long time. I'm like, well, if I'm changing this now and going in a different direction, everyone's gonna see it as I failed and gave up. But it's not about that. It's about you just switching the path. And
it's about, because if you can't reach that point where you can do that, you know, where you look at yourself and go, okay, is this still working? If you can't do that, you kind of end up stuck on the
it's
track,
it's not gonna move really.
And it's actually, as far as I'm concerned, at that point you're actually holding yourself back. You know, that's when you're failing. It's the point where you can say, okay, I did this for a while and it worked for what I wanted to do up till now, but now I've learned, I've grown, and my kind of goal has either changed or it's become more specific, so now I can adjust my course, you know.
definitely.
It's like sailing in a way, a little bit.
We should have more metaphors. Oh, my yoga feet are falling asleep.
Yoga fail.
Okay, so...
Hashtag.
Yoga fail? Is there a hashtag?
There is now a hashtag. Make it viral.
It's actually really good.
Counting on you.
Don't wake up, Ernie. So, I'd like to talk a little bit about uncertainty.
Uncertainty.
Because I feel like, for me, that has been a huge thing.
Mm-hmm.
Being a freelancer, if that's what you want. I don't really consider myself a freelancer, but just being a person that does not have a boss or a schedule, or I have no idea what I'll be doing next week or next month, and like you never know where as a musician, obviously too, like you never know where your next gig is gonna be or how it's gonna happen, or if you're gonna be able to pay your rent, or what happens to my job. Like there's no certainty as a musician.
Yeah.
Was that something that you struggled with, and how have you learned to deal with it? Have you ever been scared about it? Yeah. Do you ever learn though? Do you feel like you can handle it now?
I can handle it better now. I think because I've kind of...
That's why we drink so much.
Yeah.
Really.
That's how we handle it.
You just drown it out. Ignore it until tomorrow.
But we drink responsibly.
Really?
Anyway.
we should always start to mention something so we can get sponsored by someone, like...
Miller Lite. Drink it.
Absolute vodka.
Sainsbury's Basics Lager.
No. No.
My favorite. No, I think, uncertainty... I don't know, I kind of realized quite early on that the uncertainty side of it, I think when you are a freelancer or an artistic person, it's more of a personal thing, you know. It seems more uncertain to do this kind of thing, but when I really think about it, you know, especially with the global economy and stuff like that, if I look at someone who has a full-time job or kind of a supposedly steady job, still, you know, something can happen, like the company goes bankrupt, or whatever happens,
get laid off all the
something
time.
happens in your personal life that kind of messes up your plans. So in the end, I think when you're a freelancer, or you're kind of building up your own kind of working life, it just means that you're more aware of that. It's more in your face, you know, because ultimately you know that it's up to you, you know, and if it doesn't work, it's
you have to take control of everything.
And that's both an incredible freedom to have, as well as occasionally a bit of a daunting feeling, you know.
I was struggling tons with uncertainty for a long time. Like, I didn't know how to handle it. Like, that thing that I just got so worried about everything. I'm like, where am I gonna live? And how are things gonna turn out and stuff? But I think if you can learn to kind of, first of all, see it as excitement, like you're curious about, there are actually endless possibilities of what can happen, you know? Then you can instead go into your life with, like, being curious about everything and be excited about it.
And uncertainty goes two ways, you know, in a sense. Like, when people think of uncertainty, a lot of times you instantly think of, like, the things that could go wrong. It sounds so negative.
It sounds negative, but uncertainty can also be like that it's not fixed, like your future is not written already.
You know, it's just, you don't know what's gonna happen, and there we're back to just taking it as it comes.
Okay, the next theme I want to talk about is persistence. Because I feel super inspired the way that I can see how friends around me now, like the last couple of 7 years, from all of us, like, living in London, being so unsure about everything, just trying to figure stuff out. We have all found our own ways to make this life our own. Like, we have all paved our own paths and, like, taken stuff in that we like and found our ways to actually do this. But I have also seen other friends who fought for it for a few years maybe, but then they realized, oh, this is not gonna work out. It's gonna be way easier if I take a day job at a pub. And then they did that, and then they're stuck in it. Because I think if you let yourself kind of take the easy way out, taking a day job just to pay your rent, it's hard to get back into fighting for this as much as you actually need to do to make it work out.
Because you kind of lose your momentum a bit, you know?
Totally. Do you feel like you just are that kind of person that never gives up? Or were you ever close to giving up?
Lots of times.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's so funny you say that. I got this question too a while ago. They're like, did you ever think about giving up? I'm like, oh my god, every single day the last 10 years.
I think that's just part of it, you know, like, and it's your ability to get over that and kind of say, no, I'm gonna just go at it again. Because I think oftentimes it's very easy to kind of focus on the negative moments, you know, like when you have a moment where you're doubting yourself, that's the moment where you start usually asking yourself, am I doing the right thing and stuff. Whereas when everything's going really nicely, you just kind of go with the flow, you know, and you don't really sit down and go, okay, I'm achieving some stuff, you know, even though maybe 3 weeks ago you were sitting on the couch going, oh god.
That happens all the time though.
And I think it's important, I don't know, I try whenever I kind of feel a bit lost or a bit uninspired, I try to remember the good things as well, you know, and kind of put it into a perspective. I remember reading somewhere that motivation breeds motivation.
Yeah.
So, and the more you do it, the more you see that what you're doing is paying off, the more you'll be inspired to keep doing it, you know.
Yeah, it's a skill too, I think, to learn to stay motivated.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think also, you know? Yeah, it's totally discipline, and it's so easy. I noticed that when I let myself slip into losing, like, the excitement for it, you turn a little lazy, you know, because it's quite tiring to be excited about your life. Like, it's tiring to be motivated.
Yeah, in a sense, yeah. I mean, it's tiring, or it can be tiring if you're not used to it, you know.
Yeah, I feel like it's way more tiring to keep up the kind of fire, like that you need to work really hard. It's easier to just lie down and say, I'm done with this, like, I'm tired.
And I think it's very much also, like, just being and just kind of going, well, things are the way they are, and you just kind of accept it, whether it's terrible or okay. That is almost like the most energy-free kind of way of dealing with it, you know. You don't really have to make an effort, you just let stuff happen.
Yeah, you're ignoring what you actually feel, like what you actually want to do.
You know, if you can find the strength in yourself and you can teach yourself to be more aware of the moment and about what you're doing, it doesn't only help you motivate yourself, but it also helps you enjoy everything you're doing, you know, and appreciate, you know, like this meeting someone like we did, you know, like it's a very amazing thing, you know. And
can you tell that he's a meditator?
Every day.
No, it's true. It's really true. I think that's something that not just musicians, but like entrepreneurs or like very driven people just have this tendency to go, and you notice every single setback, but you never kind of give yourself the credit for the good stuff that you do, like your achievements. Okay, so geek up out a little bit about your gear.
About my gear,
because I bet that there are gonna be people who ask,
which gear are we talking here? The guitar gear, the studio gear?
Yeah, whatever you want to talk about.
I was always a big fan of kind of making work what you have, you know. So I kind of, you know, when I first started playing with bands and stuff, I had a kind of a cheap guitar. I'd say that's my favorite piece of equipment because it's my
cheap guitar. What are these then?
So there's
wanna buy it.
So there's a Fender Mexican Telecaster.
I think that a lot of young musicians, or like even myself, get very put off, like intimidated by gear and instruments, because first of all, there are some musicians that are so nerdy about it that it needs to be of this class and this brand, and you need to have really expensive equipment, or like you cannot record a record if you haven't paid a fortune for that microphone. And I'm a very big advocate for like, I have released 5 records on the same kind of equipment.
Yeah.
Like, I bought Pro Tools when I was 15 and I learned to use it. I bought the microphone that I'm still using and one acoustic guitar. And that's what I've been
over
using.
that time, you've probably...
Yeah, and you
it's become
upgrade...
an extension of your creative being.
Totally, like, but you can start with just whatever you have and you learn to work with it. But then obviously you upgrade it and you learn things and you, like, but, you know, I think that a lot of people actually don't start because they think they need to have a professional studio before they can write the song.
I mean, in the end, the price tag or the brand name doesn't matter.
No.
You know, like, I'm
just
a
do
very...
something. There's so many people that don't do anything. Like.
If I think about, like, a lot of the music that I really like is made with whatever was there, you know, whether it's like some weird electronic music where it's just a toy keyboard. If it makes a sound, it's a valid instrument. You know, the quality of the music that's gonna come out of it has nothing to do with the price tag or the name. It's the intention you put into it.
You learn to use what you have, like work with what you got.
And I'd actually say if you're gonna buy a guitar, you know, get one that fights back a bit. Because then it means you learn better, I think, how the instrument vibrates and how it works, and then if you ever have a moment where you get to play a really nice, very nicely taken care of guitar, you'll appreciate that moment, and you'll also appreciate the unique sound that your crappy guitar at home has. Because if I think like of old blues records, they just played with a knife and a beat up box with strings on it, and it sounds amazing. Yeah. You know, you can't get that sound with a 4,000 pound, you know, Taylor or something.
Maybe a plugin though in Pro Tools. Probably.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, so last question.
Oh no.
Now this is the deep one.
The deep one. Here we go.
Let's leave the listeners with one final like advice or just a recommendation or just a thoughts that can leave them with a good feeling for the rest of the year.
My advice, whatever you do, is to always make an effort to enjoy the moment and enjoy what you have, you know, and just don't take your life for granted, you know. Yeah. Whether you're struggling playing open mic nights or you're playing a huge stage, you know, if one person comes up to you at the gig and they liked your music, that matters. That matters, you know, totally and matters. You should. Yeah.
Beautiful. Is there anything last word you want to say? How awesome I am.
No. No, you are pretty awesome, but I think that's pretty obvious. Thanks. You know. But I
just really wanted you to keep saying this. Didn't even come with another suggestion.
I'm just very happy that you know, this is one of those moments, like I just said, you know, like the fact that we met, what, like 6-7 years ago?
8 at least.
And
you realize how old we are by now.
Yeah, I'm getting dusty. And yeah, just the fact that we can sit here and we can do this interview. We've made a lot of music together. We've had adventures. We've lived together, you know. And I think that's a beautiful thing.
It's true. I have lived on every couch you ever had.
I know, yeah.
Almost, not really.
She knows my couches the best.
I really do. Beautiful. Thank you, NIELS. Woo, peace. We never showed the creature. Should we do that now?
Let's show the creature. We can.
Oh, it's stuck.
We can.
We have such a professional setup.
I can lift him up.
Ernie ball. Ernie. Hi. Oh. He loves me more than any of my boyfriends ever did.
Now it's definitely the director's cut.
That was nicer.
Ernie, go to bed. Go to bed.
He's gonna be such a great father.
Go to bed.
Should we play a little song too then?
All right.
What do you think?
All right.
Was it good? Did you like it?
I liked it. Yeah.
I think we had some really good.
I think there's some moments.
I think so too. When the sun is slowly rising, it all hits me hard like a knife in my chest, ripping out my heart. Reality is out there tearing lives apart. church, and I'm living here alone with just a memory